And welcome to episode 4 of the Bielsa Bible with Rob Mulholland
and Mickey Peaker.
Thank you so much for your correspondence, and thank you so much to all our Patreons as well. Ian Andrews, the Cardinal, big shout out. And getting in touch and all the support. It's been really enjoyable.
It's been brilliant again this week. We've had people from Cambodia.
Have we?
Yeah, like Phnom Penh. And there's a guy watching. I wish I could. I brought him up. I can't remember his name at all. He's commented on YouTube, but big up to yourself. We've had more people from all around the world.
That's great. Is that our first kind of Asia kind of link with?
We've had India and.
Is that Asia as well?
That is Asia as well.
Fair play.
Okay.
I'm making it up.
This is not a geography podcast. I think that's safe to say. But yeah, it's been awesome. We've really loved reading all those messages from everyone around the world. And we wanted to give a special shout out to Tariq Jabbar, who's got in touch on Twitter.
Yeah, thanks, Tariq.
Yeah, we really enjoyed, I don't know if enjoyed is quite the right word. We were really touched by your message because he told us about how basically his mum is in hospital at the moment. She's very ill. And but the thing that's been keeping him going is the example of Bielsa and the beauty of what's happening at Leeds United at the moment. So that
literally thinking of Bielsa makes it, So
we're all with you, Tariq. Is what I want to say.
Absolutely, mate. We are with you, and I hope it all works out okay. And MOT, mate.
Every BLCster is wishing out for you. So keep in touch, and we hope that's all good. But yeah, it's been another
fantastic week.
Fantastic week
in the realm of Bielsa land. Wow. I mean, let's talk, as we always do, about the previous game. It was Sheffield United, a 1-0 victory, and what a sweet 1-0 victory as well.
Yeah, it was a really, really lovely one to get,
it was beautiful. In a way, that 3 points against Fulham and that 3 points against Sheffield United, really important because of that such a tough start. And when you're languishing in the relegation zone, the confidence is knocked. We're out of that relegation zone for 2 or 3 weeks now.
We're not.
So,
we don't need to worry about the relegation
We don't need to worry about the relegation zone because we've got the greatest goalkeeper that has ever lived.
Oh, how good is it having a goalkeeper who can save things?
Really weird.
It's really odd. It's been he was unreal, wasn't he?
Another reverse of what it was like in the Championship with us.
Yeah.
They created the better chances. There's no doubt about that. Well, Bamford's chance was actually the best chance.
Yeah,
you could argue with Jack Harrison's final ball. What has happened to that lad? It's just exceptional.
Loads.
Bamford just brilliant all day, absolutely brilliant.
Another unreal performance.
Do you know what I loved about it as well? His interview in the post match was so sweet and beautiful. It's just such a nice guy. And then he was really frustrated with himself about missing a chance.
Yeah,
and
it's like you've won the game for us, Paddy.
I love that though. I love that. He said it's really simple, basic stuff as well. I'm peeling off. He said he told Jack Harrison, I'm going to peel off the right centre back and go in the channel. Yeah. So just throw it in there. And all the tactical nous of Wilder and Bielsa, which is plentiful. Well, Wilder's a good coach, and it's just that little just pop it in over his head and I'll score. Yeah. And it happened a couple of times. He missed a header. It was on the edge of the area. It wasn't a bad header actually.
Nah, it was a really difficult chance that.
And he's annoyed about himself. His standards have just gone through the roof, hasn't he? And he's like,
we know where that's come from.
Yeah, I should have scored from kickoff. Fucking hell, what am I thinking? Passing it back.
But that's it. Like that's the Bielsa effect, and we're seeing it so much. And Meslier was another one who, again, as soon as people doubt the players that Bielsa is dealing with, they always end up proving him wrong. Because for some people, a lot of people have been like, is Meslier good enough to be our number one? You know,
of course there were doubts. He's 20, looks like he's 5.
Yeah, he does. He's got a child's face.
And he's not gone out on loan and done the usual, 30-odd games in the Championship or wherever it may be, or in the French equivalent, or just the French top tier, really.
He was playing in the French second division. He's had
that doesn't count. Yeah. I mean, that's Robin Friday territory, mate. But, to keep that clean sheet is really vital for his confidence as well.
And it was it was a clean sheet earned. It wasn't one where it just happened.
It's one of the best clean sheets I've ever seen from a goalkeeper.
It was absolutely fantastic, wasn't it?
The first save, when you look back and
Gordon
you watch,
Banks v Pele.
It's probably harder.
Yeah.
He had more time with the Pele header.
Yeah.
The thing about that, the great thing about it was the Sheffield United lad, Lundstrom, I think, who was desperate for a goal, and that's how football can work. It's a lot of luck. I think we did discuss that last week. There's a bit of luck in football.
We discussed it on an interview actually the other night.
Did we? Yeah. That'll be on Patreon. And there's a bit of luck in football, and you feel like he's not quite got it at the moment. And that finish was decent. But when you watch Meslier, he predicts it.
Yeah.
He's not looking at the ball. He can see what's happening, and he looks straight at the man and goes, "Where's he hitting it?" And he gets his body shape, and he goes, and he has to go. He gambles because when you're hitting it that hard from 8 yards out, you've got to go. And what a strong wrist!
Yeah, it's unreal, wasn't it? Like, to be fair, he is a teenage lad. His wrist has probably had quite a lot of exercise over lockdown, hasn't it?
he's still in that zone.
It was his
isn't he?
right hand,
Yeah,
you may have
definitely.
noticed.
Yeah,
it was
that is a
particularly
man.
strong.
But let's go to the left hand. He's obviously double wanking because that
He's a long lad. Maybe he needs two.
Yeah, that Jack Harrison kind of mistake, and it's a rare one from Jack, because very rarely has he ever made defensive error. He tried to nick the ball on the edge of the box, didn't quite happen, got turned, good turn. The lad's hit it true and hard, and it's really low, and he's powered it, and that is well struck left hand. Yeah. And it's up over the bar. You've got to get a lot on that as well.
Yeah, it's a really good
save.
save. So, like, fantastic performances all over, though. It was just a really, really, like, because it was a difficult game. First half,
really difficult game.
Second half, I think we took control of it a bit more, and we were more, we put more Bielsa moves together.
I think it was a Chris Wilder game.
It was first half.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
and that's credit to Wilder, who it's always cagey. It's always tense.
They're so physical. They're such a big physical team, but they're more than that. I don't mean to denigrate them with
I think they're quite similar to us in some respects. Really, with the movement and the way that I saw
in
a bit
terms of the autonomy, in terms that they have pre-prepared moves.
Yeah, they do.
That's definitely true.
But also defensively as well. I just saw a bit on Blades and BA Analytics. The Blades Analytics is a really good Twitter. It's a bit like All Stats, kind of really good, and they do a lot of stuff on general football. And they mentioned there was a great bit of feedback on Dallas, wasn't there, on Match of Day 2 by the Scum lad, and it was really good, showing just how important
Everton's Darren Fletcher.
Yeah, showing just how important Dallas is to Bielsa's system and the way he plays in every position virtually. Yeah. And the Blades had something similar. Obviously Wilder's that we were talking about coaches, and he's the equivalent probably of Bielsa in England, isn't he?
Well,
and it's just this like bit of a dickhead. He's from Yorkshire.
I don't know. No.
Well, no, he's the best we've got.
Yeah,
I mean, there aren't many better than Wilder. I don't think that are English in terms of coaching. He's worked miracles with that team.
Possibly, but I think I don't know if he quite has the personality side of Bielsa.
Well, in the post-match interview as well, do you even say it? He was like, "Oh, Marcelo's coming over, I might trip him up." It's like, oh. Yeah. You're embarrassing, Chris. He hates Leeds, though.
Oh, yeah.
And I quite like that.
Yeah, me too. Yeah,
he does hate Leeds.
Yeah, but,
good lad.
So, yeah, really good win. And, we're on to the next one against City now. So
I think 6 points out of 9 is a dream start.
It's great.
And particularly when you say that 3 points we didn't get, we were bloody close.
And against Liverpool. So, I think we'll give City a good game. I'm excited for it.
3-8.
Yeah, exactly.
It is a free hit.
Who cares?
And it'll be interesting to see.
I'm well excited to go a million miles an hour at them, because I do not care if we get beat 4-5-0 against City. Who cares?
No, that happens a lot. That happens a lot in the Premier League.
And especially if you're playing that high risk, Liverpool have taken some tonkins off them by going and playing that high risk.
City have beaten virtually every team 5 or 6-0 over the last 3 or 4 years.
I do not care. Let's go have a swing at them, because
let's lose 5-0 and be happy. Yeah. That is what Bielsa's managed to achieve at least. 6 points out of 12 is a good start.
Exactly. Especially, I think. But I think we'll rattle them, and I think we might actually get something against them. So
I can see. I wouldn't rule out anything under Marcelo Bielsa.
No, but it's been actually a pretty good week all round for the Bielsa teams. Elsewhere, Bilbao had a good win against Eibar, so that's they're important for them. They had a bit of a shaky start.
Yeah, well, they've set themselves a high bar there. We can edit that out.
No, I'm not going to. People are going to have to see what I have to put up with when we're recording these. The level of punnery. The amount you don't see. But also, by the time this has gone out, they'll play Cadiz, who are also had a similarly rough
lovely place.
Gorgeous place, but hopefully...
Medieval.
Hopefully a terrible team. So, that'll have already happened. Marseille drew with Metz. Not the greatest start for Marseille, currently in the middle of the table, but, plenty of time to go. They've got a really good side, so...
in the Velodrome.
Yeah, and then...
they'll be missing the atmosphere. I'm sure Marseille thrive on that.
Well, all the Bielsa clubs are going to feel that. They're atmospheric clubs. This is the thing, with amazing support. If you follow the Bielsa Bible on Twitter, if you don't do that already, make sure you do, because I'm constantly putting clips and retweeting of the fans at the Velodrome and the fans at Estadio Marcelo Bielsa, and just from around the world, all the different Bielsa teams. They're all the same. They're all amazing fan bases. So if you want to check those out, we really vibe off those. Just the
race out there. It's a different vibe to English.
Yeah, well, they do more of the tifos and the confetti and all that stuff. Yeah, I love that stuff.
It's more of a party. It's more of a 5-year-old party in the back garden, isn't it? Just fireworks everywhere.
A little bit more of an edge.
Yeah, had a few murders here and there.
But so check those out on there. But also like Atlas beat Juarez, so they're up to 12th in the league.
Good,
like,
get a bit of mid, but they were a bit shaky at the start, but they are. But bit of mid-table solidarity there.
Exactly. They've played a few more games in Mexico as well. I think they've played 12 games, so there is more shape to the league table. Club America, another win, absolutely flying. Won against Guadalajara, and they drew with Cruz Azul, so they're in third still. So good luck to Club America. So that's everyone who's played, because Argentina's still not going.
Fair dues to them.
So actually, a pretty good week all round for the Bielsa teams.
I'm really looking forward to that Newell's campaign.
Oh, I can't wait.
When is it going to happen?
No idea.
Okay.
I'm sure someone will tell us in the comments.
Please help us out.
This is what we rely on, is you giving us your knowledge. We have just done an interview with such a knowledgeable Newell's fan. You are going to love seeing some
amazing, really amazing.
The guy's like an encyclopedia of Newell's. So we had such a great time speaking to him. So we'll be dropping more of that coming up.
We feel like we're getting closer to that Newell's story. Are you about to invite people into the Newell's story?
Yeah,
because we need more of it.
Exactly. If you're a Newell's fan, if you're a Vélez Sarsfield fan, Atlas, Club America, Marseille, Bilbao, Chile, anyone, if you love Marcelo Bielsa and you think that you can tell us more about it, do get in touch. TheBielsaBible.com. Oh, no, that's not the address. It's TheBielsaBible@gmail.com. That's where you need to email.
What happens if you do type BielsaBible.com?
Oh, you still go to our website.
Can you buy merch there?
You can, mate.
Amazing.
Yes. So if you're enjoying the Bielsa Bible and you want to show off your love for Marcelo Bielsa too, like the true Bielsista that you are, go to thebielsabible.com/shop. We have got a ton of stuff there. We are the QVC of Bielsa. We've got loads of stuff and all great quality gear. We've got big mugs. Look at that. It's nearly a pint.
The Lord's Prayer on the back. Yeah, it is nearly a pint. It's how many ounces
15 ounce.
15 ounces.
Whatever that converts to in British. I don't know. But it's got the Lord's Prayer on the back, so you can recite that with us.
It's massive and it's ace.
We've got the Bielsa Bible t-shirts. Mickey is modelling one there.
I certainly am.
You can get them in black or white. We've got a white one there. They've got full colour print in front and back.
I've washed this and it is still amazing.
It's ring spun cotton, Mickey. I wouldn't expect anything different.
I don't know what that means, but I'm happy to hear it because honestly, this is my favourite item of clothing. It's amazing.
Yeah, they're nice. Also, we've got
Are you comfy
stickers.
there?
Yeah, mate, I'm very comfy because
I've
got the Bielsa Bible cushion.
Oh my God, I wish I had one of them.
If you want to proper annoy a loved one in your life by sticking one of those on a sofa, we've got a couple of these in there. We've got
as usual, Lord's Prayer on the back.
Lord's Prayer on the back.
Standard.
Bielsa Bible snapbacks, all that sort of stuff. BielsaBible.com/shop. Buy yourself some gear, treat yourself. Go on.
And we have a new section, a new feature in episode 4. It's brand new and it's a fantastic one because it's Saint of the Week.
Saint of the Week. Saint of the Week.
Yeah, our friend Gary McVeigh, who is a musician who makes Leeds United music.
Of Macedonians fame?
Yeah, we have, we've retweeted him on Twitter. We'll speak to him at some point, I'm sure. So check out his music. But he suggested, after we got this story, we were talking about this on Twitter, he suggested we had a new feature, Saint of the Week. And we, basically, we're going to bestow sainthood on someone who has really lived the values of Bielsa.
Perfectly put.
Yeah, so this week, and I'm absolutely delighted to make
this a great one.
To make this our first one for someone who is so brilliant, who we love so much, and so justified. I'm really excited. So our first saint of the week is Jermaine Beckford. Jermaine Beckford.
Praise be Jermaine.
Praise be Jermaine. So, if you don't know the story, what happened this week? Jermaine was...
Jermaine Beckford, for non-Leeds fans.
I mean, if you don't know who Jermaine Beckford is, sort yourself out, right? He is a former Leeds United striker and a little bit of a club legend. He scored the goal against Man U at Old Trafford.
He also scored the goals that got us out of the third tier of
Exactly.
football.
He was just a great striker when we were in the lower leagues, and he's a great guy. And
he went to Everton and wasn't as good as he was at Leeds.
No, but scored the goal of the season in the Premier League.
Yeah, he did,
He has a Premier League goal of the season. He's a brilliant player, was a brilliant player, and is now a great pundit.
He's really good. He's really, really impressive.
Yeah, he's really charismatic and he really knows his stuff and he's just a really charming.
It's like the opposite of me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, like, I'm desperate to get him on this podcast to have someone to talk to.
Yeah, but we do want Jermaine, don't we?
We would. So
I'll happily sacrifice my place for Jermaine.
We all would. Yeah,
we all would. It's about South Africa. Yeah, we all would.
I'd swap me for Becchio as well.
Can you imagine that? Jermaine Beckford and Becchio and Beckford. That's amazing.
What a partnership.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this story, the reason he's been inducted is this week. So Jermaine's a pundit now. He was meant to be on TalkSport for the Sheffield United game, but he was late turning up to the game. But there was a beautiful reason for it. It turns out, on his way to Bramall Lane, he saw an old lady suffer a nasty fall, and he stopped to help her. And despite the fact that he was due to be on the radio for this game, he stayed with her and made sure she was all right until the emergency services arrived. So he made it on time for the game in the end, just. Yeah. But what a beautiful thing to do.
I just absolutely love that because he's not like secure in his punditry at the minute. He's still rising.
New.
He needs the work. If you turn up late, obviously it's not a good thing.
Yeah.
But he didn't go, I've just helped out an old lady, blah, blah, blah. He made nothing of it. It was completely like, what's the word?
I don't know what
I'm struggling for them all, if I'm honest with you. I'll come back to it at some point. I'll just say the word. But it was beautiful.
It was understated.
Understated. No, it wasn't that one.
Ah, shit.
But it was good enough. Close. Yeah. But so understated, and someone else has seen it, tweeted about it.
Yeah.
There's no pictures.
No.
Because Jermaine Beckford's not about that. He just wanted to help this old lady. Giving.
Yeah,
helping.
Exactly.
And we've got a prayer out of it, haven't we? Because Saint of the Week should always produce some form of prayer. A psalm, spelt with a P, I believe.
That's it. Yeah, silent P.
A silent P. But we've all done one of them.
So now, our psalm this week. So we're going to add these to the Bielsa Bible, and these are going to be useful sayings that we have learnt from our saints and their beautiful actions. And so our psalm this week.
Always help an elderly lady that has fallen over.
Amen. And if you'd like to suggest a saint of the week, please tweet us, drop it in the comments on YouTube, anything like that.
Such a beautiful message, that. And it's such an obvious one as well.
It is. But it's not one that everyone follows.
Yeah, I'm sure that people might help an old lady up and then disappear. He stayed with her. Probably the most important bit, reassure her. She's had a fall, she's nervy.
I'll be honest with you, like when I read that story, it makes me want to go trip outside football grounds to hope Jermaine Beckford helps me.
Yeah.
I'd love to be cradled in his arms. Oh, Jermaine!
Jermaine, stay with me. Stay with me.
Oh, this ambulance is taking
I'm feeling faint. I'm disappearing. I can see a light.
So we wanted to say a well done to Jermaine Beckford for being such a lovely bloke.
Amazing. And what a great start. And thank you to Gary for getting in touch and becoming part of the podcast. The most important people in this podcast are us, the people, the Bielstas. So the Bielsistas. That's the ones. So important. I forgot your name. But please get in touch. Add to the show. That's exactly what we want. And what a great start. Saint of the Week.
Saint of the Week. Saint of the Week.
If you're absolutely loving this podcast, we really hope you are, and you want to see it grow and develop and continue, then please consider becoming a Patreon saint.
Yeah, head over to patreon.com/the Bielsa Bible. We're putting up loads of perks and rewards up there. You can get things like free merch. We'll send you personalised shout-outs. Also, the main thing that we're putting up there at the moment, every week we're putting up one of the full interviews from this podcast.
Which are ace.
Yeah, there's some amazing chats, and they're all like a couple of hours long, and they are just raw, unfiltered Bielsa chat. Like we're putting the highlights and some little clips on this podcast constantly, and this will always be free, the main podcast. Don't worry about that. But if you want more, if you are an intense Bielsa nerd like us, you want to see all the juice, we've got just put up the interview with John Richardson,
which is lovely, and John is a very funny man.
Yeah, it's great. It's a right laugh, and it's completely unfiltered. You'll see the proper behind the scenes chat. We're putting up next week. I think I'm going to put up the full one with Simon Grayson, which is an awesome interview with a great bloke. Really interested to talk to him. I think Leeds fans in particular will love to hear from him. So it's from as little as £3 a month. You can choose which tier you want to be on, depending on the level of perks you're after. But it keeps us going, right? It costs us money to do this. If you want to support us, chuck us a few quid on there. We'd really appreciate it. Maybe Elsa bless. Maybe Elsa bless you, everyone.
So we're about to go into today's sermon, but before we do, as always, we must recite the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art from New Wells, Marcello be thy name. Our King has come, thy will be done, on the pitch as it is in training. Give us each day our daily nutritionally balanced meal, and forgive us our bad passes, as we dispossess those who pass badly against us. Leads us man-mark in rotation, has delivered us from EFL. For thine is the high line, the power, and the running, forever and ever. Vamos, Bielsa, carajo. We haven't quite got the ho.
Not quite, but
we're getting there.
We are on our way. But today's sermon is it's a little bit different to a couple of the other ones we've done. They're always going to be ever-changing. We want to keep it interesting. This one is a look at a particular event that was a key moment in Bielsa's time at Leeds United.
Do you know what? I think when Bielsa's tenure at Leeds United is over... I mean, depressing to think about that.
We never want to talk about that.
No, but I think when people look back on it, particularly when they're not Leeds fans, and the Bielsa legend is kind of mentioned, I think this event will be something they'll always bring up.
Yeah,
it's infamous.
Yes, I think that is the perfect way to put it, because this week our sermon is about Spygate. So it was, for anyone who doesn't know what we're referring to, I'd be surprised if you've made it this far through the episode. But it was an incident that happened when Leeds United were due to play Derby County in Bielsa's first season at Leeds United.
About halfway through the season-ish?
Yeah, just before Christmas, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
And we were due to play Frank Lampard's Derby County. And a man was, well, the facts of it are, a man was spotted on a path who was watching the training session.
A public footpath.
A public footpath, very key point to make, and was watching training. It turned out this man was from Leeds United and had been sent there to
have a look at the training session. There were no rules broken.
Yes, and then naturally... everyone in Britain reacted very calmly, especially the press. So basically, it was a major incident and a big talking point. And we wanted to talk through the incident as it actually happened, what it was like at the time, and also discuss
Bielsa's reaction to it.
Bielsa's reaction, what it teaches us about Bielsa, and what we can learn from that. Like, as always, we want to take the meaning out of it. So... to get us started on this, shall we have a little go to some of our interviews?
Yeah, the hustler, I think.
Yes,
Michael Normington.
Normanton. We will get up now from the Square Ball. We had a little talk to him about Spygate, so here it is.
It's when I was still working at ITV, and we were in like a big open plan office. So Calendar News were just there as well. So I think I might have heard of it with those guys kind of confirming it and being like, yeah, the club are sort of saying this is true, because I think probably the rumours of it first circulated on Twitter that there's been a spying thing, and it was one of those things where you think, yeah, really, I'm not so sure. This seems a bit like bullshit, and then everyone's like, no, it's true. But then it was admittedly complicated by Lampard telling lies about him being found with wire cutters and the police in the training ground, which the police then said that didn't happen.
Yeah. Oh no, he had a jetpack and a laser and a hunting bow and he had real opposable thumbs. Fuck off, Frank. Like, what is he going to observe anyway, looking through that to see Frank Lampard's tactical masterclass? Come on.
But then afterwards, when he'd obviously been asked about it, and this is where you almost thought, just tell a lie. Because they went, have you done this before? And he was like, yes, every week. It was just like, have you thought, don't say that. Just, you've only been caught once, so just say it was once.
He's just incapable, isn't he? He's just incapable of lying.
Like if the police knocked at his door and he was like, I've got some coke in here, I've got some pirate DVDs there, I've got a dodgy IPTV subscription on the Fire Stick.
And the Golden State Killer.
Just take the hard drives just to check through them, just to make sure. I think it's fine, but just in case.
It's unreal, isn't it? Like, were you? I was absolutely terrified when he called that press conference about Spygate. I thought he was going to quit. I thought he was like, oh well, if I'm being called a cheat, I'm gone.
Yeah, well, someone reported that, didn't they? It was one of the slightly more clickbaity websites, but they weren't. I think they didn't work there at the time, but I think they had worked at a reputable paper or something before this guy. So it was people. There was a bit of truth in it, maybe when he said he was going to resign. So everyone was, like you say, terrified. But then he turned up with his PowerPoint, and it was a bit like, oh, okay, this is fine. He's just explaining things, and that was again another example of him, complete openness from him, and explaining how he does do this, but it is the absolute tip of the iceberg. The majority of what makes up his game plan is all of the other stuff he does. The huge amount of time he clearly spends on his training, on his study of statistics, on knowing every player inside out. I mean, the level of depth of knowledge he brought to Leeds in the first place about our team, like the fact he clearly watched every game and stuff. Like, I don't think like Neil Warnock will have watched any of Middlesbrough's games. He might have seen one or two on telly, but he'll have turned up there and he'll just turn up with the attitude of, I'll be able to get these lads into shape.
Yeah.
Not any real clear idea of how to do it other than bang it long and put some more effort in.
Don't, mate. I just got flashbacks. Like, watching the ball sail over Ross Barkley's head.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Bielsa put so much effort into that sort of stuff. Like, and to the extent that he'd got plans, that he'd got architectural drawings of the training ground and stuff.
Where did he get those? Like, he's just got like a blueprint guy that he can just go and like, he's got an insane network where he can just get a VHS of any football game in the world ever that's ever happened.
He's built that network. He's keen on architecture. He's got a lawyer background in his family, obviously. So I think in many ways, in many regards to Spygate, I'm sure he did his own work because he didn't break any rules.
No, they didn't. And that was the annoying thing on it, that it was such a big story that I think the other thing that annoyed me in that was you had two sides of it, not to reduce it to good and evil, but you had the good Bielsa, not really cheating, not breaking any rules, while at the same time Derby were completely taking the piss of financial fair play, which is a proper rule. Like, what's going to make you a better team? Spending millions and millions of pounds more than you should, or being able to look through a fence at some set pieces being practiced? Like, the two were not comparable at all. And you heard fuck all in the press about the fact Derby have sold the stadium to themselves, spending like way more than they can actually afford on stuff. So that was annoying.
Yeah, their pearl clutching was so transparent.
He's doing it to little Frank.
Yeah.
Oh, poor Frank. And then to have 32 Reds, you know what I mean? They come in and buy Wayne Rooney, a gambling corporation who were, putting people through misery and just extracting wealth from society, etc., etc.
And the gambling company.
Good versus evil. It literally is good versus evil.
Yeah, and like that's hilarious though, because Wayne Rooney's really fat and shit. So
he is fat and shit now, isn't he? Do you know what? In many respects, you could say like we've got this like image of Bielsa as this like kind of guardian of morals, but he's made English football more moralistic in the sense that there's now a rule against spying, whereas there wasn't before. He's brought that in by spying and going, didn't do anything wrong. And in the end, they got him on they had to really stretch it on some kind of technicality, didn't they? Of was it breaking the spirit of the game or something?
It's like how they got Al Capone on taxes.
Although I like the idea that if by breaking unknown rules and creating laws, that makes you moral.
Yeah.
Or
Well, it just, to be fair as well, one of the greatest things I've ever seen a manager do, and what just a human being do, because I don't know any other manager in world football that would do this. He paid the fine himself.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't that just incredible? We've not spoke too much about Spygate, have we, in this so far? What we've got from people, we wanted to focus on it with you, actually. I mean, to pay a £200,000 fine yourself. Would you care to elaborate, Michael?
I don't think he's not a money man. You've seen him. He doesn't look like a man who would spend any of his money. I'm sure he's got plenty of it because he's had some really good jobs. But, well, he gave £2 million, which is essentially his first year of salary from Leeds. He just gave it to River Plate, didn't he, to build a training ground?
Newell's,
fucking River Plate.
Yeah, Jesus.
Again.
Repeat that, because if we put that out on this podcast, they'll have your head, mate.
Sorry about that, Michael, but we have put that out.
Yeah, sorry about that, mate. We've thrown you right under the bus there with that slip. Right, I absolutely loved doing that interview. It was loads of fun.
Good, Normanton.
It looked like you enjoyed it.
I apologise to to all viewers, I am hammered on the Michael Normanton interview. Absolutely hammered. Just I've had a couple of bottles of wine, I think.
There's just a beautiful bit right at the start that I absolutely loved. Have a little look at this, Mickey.
It's when I was still working at ITV, and I was we were in like a big open plan office, so Calendar News were just there as well. So I think I might have heard of it with those guys kind of confirming it, being like, yeah, I was on saying this is true. I think it was circulated on Twitter now, at least something kind of
I am hammered, mate. I'm loving life. I remember having a great night in my shed that night.
It proper looks like you've got a roaring log fire going. You're like, come lie down on the rug with me with your red wine.
I'm always about 5 seconds behind the laugh as well. Like,
we wanted to get more of an inside scoop on this event because from someone who was like there and on the inside,
so perhaps a journalist.
Well, yeah, perhaps the great Adam Pope, our guy Adam. We absolutely love him. He's a brilliant bloke. We really love doing this one as well. It was such
he's great. It's like a wind-up doll. You just wind him up and he talks for ages.
And he's just got that like old school broadcaster class.
Yeah,
he's just like a classy bloke.
He is a classy bloke.
Yeah. So we spoke to him and we asked him when he first got an idea that something was brewing.
It was.
Can you give us an insight into Spygate? Yeah. You were there.
Yeah,
well, not with the binoculars. I mean, you were there at the presentation. Or were you, Popey?
He was doing corner routines with Tom Lawrence.
Do you know what? It was. I remember the tweak. It was the night before the Derby game, wasn't it? Which was the Friday night, wasn't it? As I recall. So. Forgive me if I forgot that wrong, but we're playing Derby on the Friday, and it was the Thursday night. That tweet came out from the police, didn't it, down there, saying, "Oh, man's been, whatever," and you're thinking, "Oh, this is nonsense. This surely you're checking the account, is it right?" And then didn't think too much of it. Checked it out, nothing was coming back at all, and then obviously it started to explode. It was really weird because from our point of view, that day was important. The Derby game was huge. This was a story about Leeds and Derby and Lampard and obviously Bielsa and obviously two sides were in a position that were going for it as well. But also it was the Albert Johansson unveiling of the plaque, if you remember that day too. But yeah, so it was Albert Johansson and his granddaughter had come over to help, to unveil a plaque. Really important story, and one I'm glad to say we followed through for some years. So there was loads going on. So this Spygate story was sort of the club were desperate to sort of try and get a lid on, but there was no way, and and it happened. So it exploded, and it was huge. And once you realised that they were talking bolt croppers, weren't they? And basically trespass, nothing like that at all. So yeah. So once we got the details, it was funny, wasn't it, at the beginning? And Noel was there. We had Noel in the Noel Whelan, who does our summer, his line in the West Stand with binoculars, and we were doing. So it was great for social media. It was brilliant. Yeah. So yeah. But the top of the show that night, I think Joe Urquhart from the YEP came on, and we had a massive conversation about. Ultimately, we think, well, the question was, what has been done wrong? There's been no trespass. There's been no bolt croppers. And that was the question we were left with. What has happened that is wrong? You're standing on a public highway watching people play football. There is no law against. There is no law and no rule against it. And that fundamentally is what we decided that night. And from then on, it was ridiculous. So that was
a circus, wasn't it? It was, basically the only crime was hurting Frank Lampard's feelings, which, to be honest, I think, I'd give him a knighthood for that. Brilliant.
I mean, it's really childish. It's like the comparison between Bielsa and Lampard in that Bielsa was very calm and collected and was very honest. And Lampard's like perpetuating the myth that this guy's got bolt cutters and
and he had a saw and a tank, and the tank had a shark driving it, and it was scary. Shut up, Frank.
The only thing I would say, remember Frank's missus, I think, had there'd been an issue with a stalker or something like that, and like that was used as a bit of a sort of mitigation for how he might have reacted and stuff. But it was interesting. So I'm thinking, well, it's maybe a bit far fetched. We're talking, you know, a load of men playing football on a pitch here.
Yeah, Bielsa's thorough, but like, I don't think he was like following him home. I don't think he was like.
I know, but you know, it was interesting because some months later we spoke to Jacob Butterfield because he'd gone to Bradford on loan, one of the clubs we cover, obviously for the station, and he was in that training session. And he said it was just weird. He said, it was some guy, but like, we didn't think anything of it. And we all had to go off. And that was it. Something nobody was really saying. He said it was really, really bizarre. And nobody felt really, you know, massively affected by it. But yeah. So.
It's a nothing situation. What was the press conference like?
Well, what was it like in the run-up, actually? Did you think he was going to quit like we all did?
Yeah. Because there was
Do you know what? I sort of know. Because... it was more of a feeling than any knowledge. And thankfully, as soon as we got up to Thorpe Arch, Liam Cooper was just pulling out and looked at him and said, everything's all right, isn't it, Liam? And he just went, he said, yeah, he's taking training, it's all good. You know, he said, it's all rubbish, because it'd all been a social media, the lads read it. So at that point, I'm thinking, great, okay, we're not going to be blindsided here. So I honestly didn't feel he was going to, well, but then it does go through your mind, is he going to sit there with a prepared statement and say, look, you know, I'm sorry, but, you know, I've done something really wrong and I've cheated. But then I thought, well, no, hang on. He's not going to do something that is dishonest. You know, he'd already spoken to Lampard. I mean, never mind, beat the pants off him anyway in the game, didn't they? But he'd spoken to him and sort of said, look, you know, this is something I've done. Didn't mean to cause any offence or whatever, you know. So, and when you realise that there was no regulation and no rules, no laws broken, and that this is something that he'd done not only in South America, but he'd done in Europe already, and it was accepted practice, but somehow we'd, you know, touch the sensibilities of the English FA and the English Football League, who, of course, the most straight and honest bodies that you could ever wish to run your club, didn't they, or your sport. So that at that point, I'm thinking, wow, there's something a bit wrong. And this is where I've started to really feel Leeds are getting punished, and it became what I thought was a xenophobic attack at times on the manager. And that, I thought, as it went on, I thought, wow, he could walk here, because this is unfair. And I felt bordering at times on racist.
Well, this is it. There was definitely an edge of cultural misunderstanding that was just born of the willful ignorance of the British press. I mean, like, you know, it's definitely xenophobia lacing through it. I think.
He's an Argentinian, and there's always that, you know, since the Falklands of the 80s.
Bloody Argies.
Yeah, and obviously the Hand of God, and then 98 as well, and then
there's a rivalry there.
There is certainly a rivalry, and the press. And I think it was a great thing. The reason it blew up so much, it was a great thing for the likes of TalkSport. It was so quirky, and the fact that no rules were broken.
Well, this is it. But
is a really strange kind of how big it went.
Yeah, the waters were very much muddied by Frank Lampard's lies, and let's not beat around the bush here. Frank Lampard lied about that situation.
He's like a school kid, isn't he? He's like a
just
fat
spoiled
bastard,
little prefect.
Is he a fat bastard? How can I say that?
Yeah, you can say what you want about him.
I think he's slimmed down a bit since his playing days. Really, yeah, he's a fat player. He was really good at playing, wasn't he? He run with his thumbs up like that. He used to. He's got a face you want to smack.
Oh mate, I would never tire a slap at him.
No.
He's such a privileged
He's horrible.
tit. And like the thing that I think, like, you can just really see just that, like, just he's been handed everything through his life, constant nepotism, constantly spoiled, always got whatever he wants.
I think there is definitely truth to that since he's finished the game, because I have to give him credit. To be fair, he had all the breaks as a kid that you would want. And a lot of people don't get those. And a lot of people leave football when they could have been amazing. He's worked hard, and he's got an amazing playing record. There's no doubt in that. And he's earned that himself. But since he's left the game, he is so underqualified. And I actually find it offensive that he's on the same touchline as Bielsa in the same role, essentially, as a manager. Well, how does that even happen?
It's gross negligence somewhere. But like, it's the lack of morality with Lampard, and just how like venal and self-serving he is. I really,
Chelsea's the perfect club for him.
Well, it really is. Like, I think if this church has a devil, it's
Frank Lampard. He's literally the devil,
the Antichrist.
Yeah, there. He's there living and breathing. You can
so
see him on TV.
Dishonourable the way that right, like I'm not saying that the spying thing, right? It was a thing that was not done in Britain, but like
it's done elsewhere.
It's done elsewhere, and it's a whole thing. It wasn't deliberately in any way malicious or amoral. Frank Lampard lying about the situation is deliberately deceitful. It is deliberately trying to manipulate the press. It just shows the absolute lack of character in that shameless shithouse.
You're absolutely right. I mean, he's stood there on lying to TV.
Lying fat and barefaced.
Really telling, like, it is barefaced lies. And it's like you had a bolt cutter. It's just ridiculous.
He had an Apache fighter helicopter and a submarine. He had a nuclear missile with him. I saw it. He had weaponized uranium.
Weaponized uranium.
Oh, he's such a tit. I hate him so much. But
and he's selling it to Iran, I've heard.
Yeah.
Do you know what? Honestly, I think recently as well, the devil kind of incarnated that is Frank Lampard. He has recently turned round. Last season, he was at Chelsea playing the kids. They were on a transfer ban, although they signed an £8 million player.
Yeah, it was a funny kind of transfer ban, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. And then this season, he's got his money. He's spent absolutely hundreds of millions, and he's even said, "Oh yeah, I'm not going to bother with the youth this time."
Oh no,
he just like
it just shows that there's no principle behind anything he does.
No
because
principle.
When everyone was applauding him for playing the kids, I just couldn't stand it because like he had no choice. Like like all the older players weren't playing well. And like they had 70 youth players to choose from, and these youth players aren't youth players; they're players who've been playing in top leagues around Europe for seasons and seasons.
Well, there's one player that was messed about by them actually.
Oh, not more than one.
Well, Patrick Bamford.
Well, yeah,
he went out on loan everywhere. Couldn't settle at a club. He got had a little go at Middlesbrough where he had a good season there, but he couldn't settle because Chelsea were like literally just send him there. There's no they weren't doing loans to develop him. It was just a case of just see what happens, send him out, and he couldn't get any rhythm in his career. And then he's come to Leeds and he's found Bielsa, and wow, well done. You've got away. Imagine being Bamford. Imagine getting away from the Lampard effect and moving into the Bielsa effect.
You must be glad to dodge it.
Wow.
But like this was the thing with Spygate though, was so worrying. Was once this was all kicking off and that media pressure was happening, we know that Marcelo is such an honourable man, and to be accused of skullduggery and to be not engaging in the spirit and fairness of the game is an insult that will really sting him.
Yeah.
Because that's something he cares deeply about. So I was panicked. I thought he was going to quit. I thought he wouldn't be bothered with the English press anymore.
Definitely, because we had that kind of like nervy 4 or 5 hours, didn't we, of like this tweet came out and we're like, oh my God, is this over? And it had been the most beautiful 6-7 months we could ever have at Leeds United. We were top of the league. And Bielsa was just I think we'd still be doing the podcast if he had quit.
Yeah,
it already impacted our lives, and yeah, it was nervy because he's a maverick, and he might have walked. You just don't know. You don't know what he's thinking. You don't put anything past Marcelo Bielsa. So yeah, very nervy times for a few hours. But then the press conference, shall I say, that was announced happened. And it's great to have like Phil Hay, Adam Pope tweeting things out. And then you kind of knew that something strange was occurring.
Yeah, it was one of those moments. It was one of my favourite moments of Bielsa's tenure at Leeds, because it turned from this panic into amazement. It was, oh, that's what he's doing. It was incredible. Like the press conference for Spygate is one of the all-time iconic Bielsa moments, I think. Now
it really is.
It's amazing. It really, I don't think anyone who'd followed his career previously was at all surprised. I don't think any Newell's fan will have not batted an eyelid at this. Any Bilbao fan, any Marseille fan, they'll all be like, yep. But this was the first time the English press got Bielsa'd. So we'll let our man on the inside, Adam Pope, tell you what it was actually like because Popey was there.
He was.
Yeah.
I've not heard anything to say that he was ready to walk out. I've not heard that. And to be honest, I don't know. I don't know. Look, he paid for it himself, didn't he? He said it wasn't it was, and look, the fact that he said, look, I've done it to every team.
That was my favourite bit of it all.
Brilliant.
It was just like, have you spied? Yeah, on loads of people.
It's great.
You can tell he doesn't think it's a bad thing because he was just like, yeah, of course I do this.
And I, do you know what? I wonder if he thought, I'd come into England and thought, yeah, this, the home of the game or the event of the game or, the upholder of the best referees and the best officials and the best run league and all that. And I wonder how long it took him to realise that, wow, that really isn't the case.
It's a lot of sin.
Yeah,
I think he realised then, and like, do you think like I think me and Mickey would agree with this? Like his choice of what he did in the press conference, which was to essentially destroy Derby's season by showing everyone how to beat them in painstaking detail. Like, 'cause I don't think, like, Marcelo Bielsa, whilst he's extremely kind and fair and honest and wise and all these wonderful things, there is a steeliness to him, and he is a competitor, and he doesn't take a front lightly. Do you think there was something to that? Do you think he was going, right, I'll show everyone then?
Yeah, I think that maybe it's a bit. I think there's been a few occasions where he's, it might not look obvious, but quite subtly, he's exposed people for what they are, and he's did it with the Villa thing, with the whole punch on Matthias Flick by Hourihane. But in that Derby press conference, which was amazing, I mean, it was electric. I think it was Catherine Hanna who it was her first day back from her first maternity leave. And she came up with me. I'm so glad she did, because she did all the social media while we were just sat at GOG not really asking questions, but trying to write stuff down and record stuff and see what was going on and what have you. And it was incredible, like, because it was a masterclass in coaching, and it was daylight on magic, I think is the way that I'd probably refer to it, because you saw, wow, this is how a real pro head coach goes about his business. And I think there must have been a lot of chairmen who've seen that, and a lot of club owners or whatever, must think, well, why doesn't my head coach do that? Why doesn't my manager do that? And the best part for me was when Dean Saunders came out and said, well, I used to get a couple of students and a laptop to do that. And when I was at Wrexham, I said, the same Wrexham side that got trolleyed by Gateshead in the playoffs by 5, was it, Dean?
This is
so
it. Like,
I thought it was brilliant. It was like nothing I've ever seen before.
Lampard was like, we do videos as well, It's like, that's how you do, Frank.
He exposed that British arrogance, though, and I think, like, there is that sort of exceptionalism in British football where we think we're naturally the best, and like learning's a bit sort of square and soft, and like, what are you doing? Looking at Excel, you nerd. There's just like there's a bit of that attitude still in British football, and it still lingers, and there's still that sort of cultural shift and like to happen. And Bielsa is, obviously, I think like Wenger was a huge, in British football terms, a huge moment of that sort of cultural idea happening. But Bielsa is still confronting to British football and its norms.
Most definitely. And that's why we love him so much, I think.
Yeah, completely. Because, he goes against the norms of British football that we don't like.
I mean, that press conference, it's so Bielsa. He was up against the wall. He was in a defensive position, and he was being attacked, and it looked like he'd really done something wrong here. And then the way he reacted to it, I mean, how many other managers would have thought to have done this, to go on the offensive essentially?
None. Yeah, he came out firing, and that's
3-3-1-3.
Yeah, he did himself exactly. It's how Bielsa goes. The attack is the best form of defense, and he really laid it all out there and made such a convincing point that it really took the sting out of the argument completely. Because it was he was honest about everything, said, here's exactly what's happened, here's what I've always done, and here's the information I gleaned from it. And here it is within the context of all the information I know.
And it's pointless. I just do it to ease my anxiety.
A drop in the ocean. Yeah. And like, what was so lovely was the depth of it and the detail. And that was where you saw Bielsa like hitting back. Because it wasn't just, we have all this data. He went through it. He showed Derby's corner routines. He showed what their hand signals at corners meant. He showed how to attack their fullbacks. He showed every position Harry Wilson had played for the entire season and how many minutes he had played in those positions. He showed how many minutes in each game they had played different formations for. He went through point by point by point by point, and then went, we had a man watching. That was it.
Yeah.
You know, and he made the point that it was to cure his anxiety. He
Yeah,
he
because
wants to
I
do
think
everything.
Yeah, he did it because he can.
Yeah.
And there was if there's a law saying don't watch anybody train, then he wouldn't have done it because
completely.
He follows laws. He's a good moral man. But just the way that Derby went on a losing streak.
It's hilarious, wasn't it?
Everyone went, right, okay,
everyone
we'll
else
just
in the
take that
league.
information. Thank you, Marcelo.
Oh, if you're another manager in the league, you're definitely watching that, aren't you?
Yeah, but do you know what? It's a good point that Popey made. What a club owner's thinking about when they see Marcelo Bielsa working for Leeds United.
Sure.
They surely must think, phone up, to the manager, what are you doing?
Yeah,
I'm at home,
exactly.
boss. Well, get to the bloody ground then.
It shows the laziness of a lot of managers, particularly in Britain. I can't speak for other countries. I don't follow the game.
Yeah, but there's complacency definitely. That
Definitely.
has crept in at the top end of punditry.
Yeah.
Because there's some quite poor pundits that
Massively.
some have been moved aside recently, but not all. Some of them are really good. But and you've got the complacency with club ownership as well, and just getting all this money in and ripping the fans off, and complacency in coaching, which has cost the England team over the last 30 years.
Yeah, totally. So we saw that being corrected, and I think now we'll show you a bit from the actual press conference. If you're listening to this, it's got the interpreter's voice over the top of Bielsa talking. Basically, we wanted to show you, because if you haven't really seen the footage of it, he's fired up. He is there for the fight, and it's passionate, and no one can tell us better
No one
than
can
him.
fight with a PowerPoint like Bielsa.
It's absolutely unreal. So let's have a little look at this. I do want to say thank you to The Guardian for this. We did not ask permission, but this is for educational purposes, so please don't sue us.
So in a few words, I can tell you that I observed all the rivals we played against, and we watched all the training sessions of the opponents before we played against them. I don't need to go to watch the training session of an opponent
para interpretarlo.
to know how the opponent plays.
¿Por qué voy?
Why do I go?
Porque no está prohibido,
Because it's not forbidden,
porque no sabía que iba a generar semejante rechazo.
because I didn't know it would create such
Y porque aunque este trabajo no sirve para nada,
because I went, permiso Marcelo, because I didn't know I would have such a reaction, and because even though this going and watching an opponent is not useful,
me tranquiliza hacerlo.
it allows me to keep my anxiety low.
De todos los rivales,
Of each opponent,
toda la temporada 17-18.
we watched all the games of the season 2017-2018.
Estos 51 partidos de Derby County
So we watched 51 games of Derby County.
lo hemos visto.
We watched them.
El análisis de cada partido,
The analysis-
que lo hacemos,
The analysis of each game
lleva 4 horas.
takes 4 hours of work.
So there you go.
Wow, I've not seen that footage and I loved it.
Yeah.
I mean, I said to you, his voice seems quite hoarse, like he's been shouting.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, Marcelo, they think you're a cheat.
I don't know.
You know?
I don't know how long into the press conference that was, because
Yeah,
it went
maybe.
long.
He was really aggressive and really,
But he was, he was affronted by the accusation, and rightly so, because he
defending himself.
He is the most moral manager going by an absolute country mile. So it's a ridiculous accusation, and he's fighting and defending himself. And like he says there, they've watched every single game from the last season and spent 4 hours analysing each one.
Well, we know that Chris from LUFC Data said last week that it's 300 hours on average that his staff spend collecting data for every game. I mean, it's just incredible levels of depth.
Yeah, and so, watching them have their training session, peeping through the fence, it's not going to change that much.
And you know what? If you can do it, why not do it? It's done everywhere else. It's a norm. It's a cultural norm.
Yeah.
And let's not forget, Frank Lampard played in a team that has done that. The Jose Mourinho team did it.
Yeah.
Someone was hiding in the laundry. They've had I think drones over and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So he has literally benefited from information that was gathered in the same way as Bielsa did to him.
Well, are you saying that Frank Lampard might be a massive hypocrite?
The devil. He's not even the devil in disguise. He's just the devil. Horrible.
But there is a question of morality to it, and I think it's an interesting one, and I think it's an important one to discuss. And because it did cause a lot of consternation, and we are obviously very biased, and I think it's good to examine this and see whether there was any bad done by it. And I think an interesting angle on it, we spoke to our good friend Anders Palm, a friend of the show, a Norwegian Leeds fan. We spoke to him about this. He had an interesting perspective.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not about breaking any laws, because you could still do a thing that is morally questionable without breaking the law.
Mm-hmm. And I think Marcelo would be the first person to say that.
And he would say that too, So I don't think it's about breaking the law. I think it's more like, maybe it's different culture, different way of seeing this.
I think
in Argentina they do spy on each other regularly, don't they? It's seen as it's common practice.
The whole culture in Argentina is do anything to win, and I think Bielsa's toned that down a lot.
Yeah, and I think if you look at the old British kind of gentleman thing,
which is a myth, by the way, it's an absolute myth.
It could be a myth, and but you have it in tennis or cricket or rugby. You have the sportsmanship, and you don't have the cheating. You don't have the actor playing on the field and stuff. But I think in football it's been like. It's been more of the and in Argentina. I mean, if you look at some of the players there, they are really dirty. I mean, they're doing all the tricks all the time if they can, and that's a little bit about the footballing culture, I think, from South America. And you could think that that's not applying to the good old English footballing game. But I think over the years you see also English players acting and doing things that are not necessarily illegal, but it's still a little bit like morally wrong.
Yeah, lest we forget that Jack Grealish is English.
The actor on the pitch. I think what he's drawing there on the fact that the English game has its own sense of morality, but it's also forgetting the fact that it's brought in a lot of culture from elsewhere. It's quite commonplace to dive now to earn that penalty. In fact, you get criticised for not doing it.
It always has been, is the thing. I think there's been a lot of, the British sense of fair play is often something that we sort of think we have. But it is there, and there is a cultural norm, but it's not one that Marcelo knew. And look, he's not doing it anymore. I think that's the important thing.
Well, they've made a rule against it, as I stated earlier. There is a rule now. Don't go watching people. Don't stand on a public footpath and watch the opponent's training. Okay, fine, we won't do it then.
Yeah, completely. How do you think Marcelo felt about it afterwards? Do you think he was...
I get the impression he was angry, but I think Anders picks up on another clip we're going to put there. Maybe a little bit embarrassed.
Yeah, we'll have a look what Anders had to say on that.
Yeah, I think that's got some truth in it, perhaps.
Oh, of course, we had a little, some discussions. I mean, I was the one also saying, I mean, when he does all that, investigating the teams and watching the players and former matches and so on, why does he need somebody outside of the training pitch? I mean, he knows everything either way. So I mean, and he also said that he was a little bit embarrassed when he got caught with this, because he actually said, I don't need it. I don't need to do this. It's really silly. So he was a little bit embarrassed. And I think they were maybe divided into two. You had those who said, "Well, this is nothing. I mean, everybody does it. It's nothing wrong. He was just standing outside on the public street, and it's nothing." And then you had the other side saying, "Well, it's not really sportsmanship. It's a little bit. You don't do that." I mean, he's an honest guy with high standard of moral when it comes to other things. So you could think that he would not do such a thing.
Yeah, well, when I say Bielsa was embarrassed, I think he was embarrassed because he'd maybe upset a supposed British cultural norm, and maybe felt like he's the kind of man that you think would want to fit in and want to represent himself properly.
Yeah, totally. And like he didn't mean to. So like
he didn't mean to, honest.
Well, no, this is it. He didn't mean to do anything that was offensive or wrong or anything like that. And I think he was embarrassed by that, but also angered by the accusation, and rightly so. I don't think it's an immoral act. I don't think you can call it an immoral act.
Not at all. I think in its entirety, really. Now we can look back on it.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's so Bielsa to have that moment of controversy as well. For a man that's probably tried to stay clear of controversy as well. He's often found himself at the centre of it.
Well, this is it. He's not a pushover, Bielsa, by any means. And for more on that, let's hear some more from Michael Normanton. What I really loved about the press conference as well with Spygate was he could have just given the press conference and looked at his database and gone, look at all the information we have. But he specifically did it about Derby, and in doing so showed the entire league how to beat Derby. And like they didn't win again for ages. And like it was such like, because the thing is, I think he's a genuinely good man, but also there's a steel to him. And like there is like, whilst winning isn't above beauty and ethics, it's still something he cares about. And there's still a little bit of that steel in him. I think that was deliberate. What do you think?
I think he's, like I say, I think he is very, steel is the right word for him. He recognises nuance in things, but if you fuck with him and he thinks you're in the wrong, I wouldn't like to be on the wrong side of him. Like I think he would absolutely go to town on you if he thought you'd screwed him over somehow. And I think that was him. He got angry with it, and you can see he was getting angry towards the end of last season as well, when things were going a bit wrong. Like he doesn't like his methods being questioned because he knows that he's thought them through and there's proper reason behind them. And I think he gets pissed off when some knobhead from the Daily Mail or whatever says, "Oh, what about your spine then?" And he just think, you know what, you can fuck off because I know football properly, and you're a little prick from a shitty newspaper. But he doesn't say that because he has to. He's very respectful, and he says everything in a nice, if slightly menacing way sometimes. But I'm sure that's what's sometimes going on in his head.
Must be.
You know, fuck all. Why don't you shut up?
Because he is a genius and he does know more about football than basically anyone.
You're totally right there.
Yeah.
It really does. It must be frustrating for him to listen to these wankers.
I know.
Waxing lyrical about how much they know. I know. You know nothing compared to the god that is Marcel Bielsa.
Uninformed idiots talking about him.
Who's that then?
Yeah, no, totally. I think that is. I think it was definitely a deliberate move to, say fuck you to Derby.
He's an opponent, and you know what? He didn't. We struck the first blow.
Well, yeah,
he who cast the second stone, maybe. But yeah, he did a little thing. The lying thing is an assault on his personality.
Yeah.
If you did have someone there that was trying to break in, that is over the line.
That's a different thing.
It's literally illegal. It's breaking and entering.
Exactly.
You can get put in jail for that, apparently.
Yeah. Yes, you can. Thank you, Mickey, for that.
I did some research.
But there is the lying will have really riled him.
I think so. And that when you showed that clip,
from the conference.
Thank you, Guardian. Just seeing him really riled up and angry because we've seen the odd coaching kind of like clip of him, and he has that kind of like trying to get his point across, and but it's just pure anger.
Yeah,
he's frustrated, and rightly so.
Yeah, and that's it. It's going to be a thing that I worry about it occurring again because the British press is like this.
The British press want Bielsa, and they want him to be controversial. They want clickbait. They want to discuss a new thing every day, and then they throw it away like it never even happened. But until the next thing happens where they can bring it up again and discuss it again. It's a circus.
Yeah,
it really is. And Bielsa is perfect for them.
Yeah, he's perfect like fodder for them because he is so interesting, and he's so different. So this was going to be a thing that we were concerned about. Obviously, when we were filming these interviews, a lot of these interviews, Leeds United were not promoted. Leeds United were still a championship team when we were conducting these interviews. So I think quite interesting here, we'll talk to Adam Pope. This was a prediction of what would happen when Bielsa confronts the Premier League media, basically, and the extra sort of amplified media that you get with the Premier League. How do you think that's going to play out should we, right? I'm going to curse it now. Should we get into the Premier League, how do you think the wider British media is going to handle Bielsa?
I think it's a great question. It's one that we've discussed. I think I think it'll be very difficult because the pressures that a Premier League club and the media and the international attention it brings, it's huge. And don't forget now that certainly the broadcasters like Sky have got the game over a barrel now. And I think, we're looking at drinks breaks, which will mean, how I say it, advertisements.
It's going to happen.
Will we be seeing managers or coaches having to do stuff at half time in the tunnels? And, like you see often in the Champions League and whatever, will you see all sorts of demands? I mean, because at the moment, it's painful for him to do the Sky stuff just before kick-off, but it's a contractual thing he has to do. He doesn't want to he likes to treat us all the same and do it all in one, as you know. So I think those demands will be huge, and some of the national media will not put up with just talking about the football or just talking about, they'll want to do the other stuff, and they look for what he refers to as, you've seen him in interviews in the past, whether it be in France or in South America at times where it's not gone well, where this is people looking for the polemic all the time. That's not what I'm there to do. Yes, there are times when it's difficult. You've got to ask difficult questions that might cause affront or dodgy subjects, but you're not there looking to pick apart and cause division and look for a headline necessarily. You want information, But it's going to be different with some of these other guys when they come in next season, if they go up, and that will, and the language barrier. Some people won't be patient. You see, I mean, we can sit there all day and listen to them, can't we? And that's because we're interested. That's what we want. There's podcasts like yourselves and everything that people just want to hear pure lead stuff. That's not going to be the way when they go up in the Premier League. The people will not have the same patience, I don't think, and I think it will create its own pressure. So it'll be difficult. It will be.
Oh, that moment there where Adam Pope said I'd given a great question. Oh,
yeah. Oh, he never said that to me.
No, he didn't.
No one's ever said that to me.
Absolutely delighted. I wouldn't hold your breath. But yeah, he makes a really interesting point there, and it was actually a sticking point with Bielsa signing his contract apparently this season.
Oh, right.
Was the amount of extra media work he's forced to do.
It took a long time.
It did. I mean, I don't think he really cared about it that much.
He's got a really, really negative view of the media. We have been discussing this with Mariano, with the one of the amazing Newell's guy we mentioned earlier, and he said actually Bielsa used to do 2, 3, 4 hour long sometimes press conferences. He would sit there and answer every question in detail, and he would wait and he would elaborate, and when it was done, it was done. Yeah. That's not the case anymore.
No, he's been stung too many times, I think, and too many people have twisted his words and taken them out of context and used them against him, and he's more wary. Also, I wonder, there is a clip I've seen recently that I should put up somewhere where he talks about how he feels like he's a better coach when he says less, and it's a lesson he's learned recently. So that is something we should come to in an episode, actually. We'll cover that in a future sermon.
Saying less, I mean, that's something that I could definitely
oh, God, that would be lovely.
To do. Yeah. Less is more, Mickey.
No, but...
Do you know what, though? In the Championship in Leeds, he was surrounded by these lovely journalists, and I think, I know for a fact that Popey is a Bielsa. He absolutely loves him, and I'm pretty sure Phil Hay does. Yeah. He has made Leeds United into a club worth looking for in terms of journalism. That's great, and he's made their work life better. He's made their life better. We've discussed this before. They love him and they want to respect him. When he comes into the Premier League, he's small fish in a big pond, I think is the expression. But they don't care about him. They will happily offend him.
Yeah, totally. I think that was that is going to be the point, because there are really great journalists. We're really blessed at Leeds United with a great crew of journalists.
Yeah, we are.
I hope that what Popey was saying, though, that people wouldn't have the patience for more detailed stuff about Bielsa. I hope that's not true. Otherwise, we are fucked.
Yeah, maybe. Do you know what, though? There's already that kind of backlash about him not speaking English. That's going to be a real sticking point. I think that's going to come up again and again. I don't think he's going to speak English throughout the entire time he's at Leeds United. I think he's going to have an interpreter there because he wants it to be precise. And is it an issue, someone not speaking English?
It's not at all.
But it is to some people in England, definitely. And that's another cultural divide that will be kind of cracked open, if you want, because they want that controversy. Look at this guy, he's been here 3 years now or whatever, and he's not speaking
Calls
language.
himself a genius, can't speak English. The thing is, he can
have some
speak
respect,
English.
learn the language, says the man who lives in Spain.
Exactly. We've heard this over and over again, though, from people who are close to Bielsa. He can speak English, but he doesn't want to disrespect us by getting something wrong.
And I think it's a case of, does it bother you? And sometimes you've got to try and look outside of Leeds United and being a Bielsa fan and go, okay, let's just approach this from somewhere else. Am I annoyed when I see a manager I care nothing about? I have no personal connection with them. Am I annoyed when I see them speaking their own language? Particularly not for me.
It doesn't matter at all. It's a stupid point. But I think, I think that's a nice way to wrap up the sermon, talking about a stupid point the English media have made. I think that's very apt with what we're talking about.
Well, Bielsa hates the media and he's making me hate them too. So thank you.
I just hate any
it's a
media
religion. We've
who
got to hate
attacks him.
people.
Exactly.
We hate Lampard, we hate the media, and we also love God.
There we go. So there's today's sermon. Basically, we're absolving Marcelo of any sin. We believe
Absolutely.
him to be.
There is no sin.
He is infallible. He is totally pure.
He is sinless. So we must end with a parable, as we normally do, from the second and third episodes, which are so long ago now. But this week's parable is slightly different. It is the parable of the misguided fool.
Yeah, it's one of more of our stories we found in the deep, dark recesses of the Bielsa Bible. And this is a story of a very stupid old fool. There was a very, very stupid, drunk old fool who didn't believe in the word of Bielsa and constantly doubting. He was running round the town, drunk and stupid and oafish as he always was, telling anyone who'd listen, oh, we aren't going to get promoted. Leeds United aren't good enough.
Fool.
What a fool he was. A fool going round everywhere, all around the town, showing off his foolishness. In fact, even sometimes doing it in front of a camera.
Oh God! Honestly, just to cut away. I'm getting so fucking tired of that front three. I cannot fucking handle it anymore. I just cannot. Can you imagine how good Bielsa ball would be with like players that could finish?
But then those players did finish. They finished lots.
They really did
scored
finish.
Many goals, including in the Premier League once they were promoted.
Yeah.
And the old fool began to see the errors of his ways.
And now the old fool is a very happy old fool. Still misguided, but far happier. Let's just have at the end of this episode, just have a little quick shout out to the turnaround and how good that front three have been so far in the 3 games we've had. Yeah. But I sit corrected because they have proved it at the top level, and I am over the moon to be proved wrong. Yeah. And mainstay in the team now, Bamford. I want Costin Harrison to start. We've got quality coming in. It's so exciting at the minute, and Bielsa's reign at the top is continuing. And you feel like, you know what? Let's just go top 4.
Well, this is it. Like I wanted to give you the chance to repent for your previous sins because you have come a long way. You have turned around. You were very pessimistic, but
Bamford getting 10 goals is a good return. He's got 3 already. I mean, that's brilliant.
I do think I know what's turned you round on Jack Harrison. I do think I know what it finally is. I've unearthed this from the archives.
I see.
That gives us a clue as to what it might have been that turned Mickey's head.
I do like the fact that he went back to America in the summer and did some extra training. I thought, do you know what? That's someone that is very Bielsa.
You can't fault his work, right?
Really Bielsa.
That's one thing with Jack Harrison. You cannot fault his effort. Like
no
one
if
works
harder. If he does get a top knot, if he gets longer hair and any kind of little ponytail, I mean, I think it looks a lot better.
Right. So once he goes full Ailing, that's when you're going to be all right with him.
Yeah. If you score a good goal with long hair. I mean, it's just, I prefer long hair. I just do.
I can tell.
Yeah.
You're backing up your brand there. Lockdown, I imagine lockdown's led to you being fans of a lot of people you weren't fans with pre-lockdown.
Yeah, for me, I'm liking people a lot more now, John.
Yeah, that's it. You must have been so excited watching Harrison score that goal against Liverpool.
When he scored that goal against Liverpool, I went to the toilet for a few minutes, mate. I honestly, it was just incredible. And now I'm pretty much in love with Jack Harrison.
I know, it's a beautiful turnaround. I'm loving seeing it.
It's great, and it's totally proven wrong. There's a few Leeds fans on Twitter that we have a little bit of banter with regards to Jack Harrison, and I have I'm happy to admit I was wrong about that guy.
Well, there you go. That's a very important lesson we've learned. That when you are, this is tying it all together beautifully with the Spygate lesson.
Yeah.
When you are wrong,
just
admit
get
it.
some long hair and score a goal.
No,
against Liverpool.
You've not learned. That's not the lesson, Mickey.
That's misguided fool.
The misguided fool once
Strikes again.
Sorry, he was an old, drunk, misguided fool.
Oh yeah, I'm hammered on every episode.
Old, fat, drunk, misguided fool. But yeah, the lesson is if you do something wrong, own up to it. If someone accuses you of doing something wrong and you've done it, admit it. It's
admit
far
it
better
and
for
then
everyone.
hit them with a PowerPoint. So next week,
next week, Mickey's coming back with an Excel spreadsheet for me
of all Jack Harrison's goals and where he scored them from and stuff like that. We've got some great stats guys at Leeds, so help us out with that, please.
But like that pretty much wraps us up for today. Thank you so much for watching or listening, however you're doing that. Make sure you leave us a like, a review, all those sort of things. Share this with people who don't know about it. Tell them about it.
Yeah, totally.
Spread the word. Proselytize.
Yeah, if you're loving it, the best advertising is word of mouth. Tell people, tweet about it, and that's how these things grow. Apparently, isn't it?
It absolutely is.
So help us out. We're all in this together in the church, and we're loving doing this, by the way.
We are. If you want some Bielsa Bible merch, the big mugs, you can head over to bielsabible.com.
The slapbacks, is that what they're called?
Snapback.
Oh, a snapback. That's a hat idea. The snap and back.
Slapback's what I want to give Frank Lampard.
Yeah, because he slapped us metaphorically, hasn't he? With every move he makes.
And also, if you want to support us long term and get access to the full uncut interviews, including the one with Simon Grayson, I think I'm going to put up next week. I think I'll just do that one.
Yeah, do you know what? We've got some great ones planned that
Amazing.
haven't happened yet, but we've got some, big plans for this.
So head to patreon.com/the Bielsa Bible, where you can get access to that for as little as £3 a month. And thank you so much for watching. We'll be back with another one of these next Saturday. But all that remains to say,
3 words: Vamos, Bielsa, Carajo.
Bielsa.